Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is James, and today we're going for another drive, and we're going to be driveling. Just this week, I was reading car news and came across this article about Consumer Reports' brand report card, which they just released for 2021. Every year, Consumer Reports comes out with this list of all the brands, all the major brands, I guess you could say, and ranks them based on reliability and owner satisfaction. And guess what? Mazda made it to the top of the list for the first time, and that is super exciting to me. Last year it was Porsche, this year it's Mazda. And those of you who know me personally know that my two favorite brands are Mazda and Porsche. And I gotta say, as a casual observer of the auto industry, as well as just an enthusiast of cars, I think I know why Mazda won. And it comes down to those two ingredients of reliability and owner satisfaction. Let's talk about reliability first. A lot of people have criticized Mazda for using what they call outdated technology in their cars. So for example, the Mazda 6 sedan, which kind of goes toe to toe with the Accord and the Camry, uses a rather antiquated 6-speed automatic transmission. It's kind of slow on the technology. They're not trying to rush out new technologies. It's a lot like what Toyota does. If you go into a Lexus dealer today and buy yourself an IS350 for $50,000, it's gonna come with the same 3.5-liter V6 that debuted in 2006 in that generation IS350. It's wild, but Toyota makes a great engine or a great transmission, and then they just like seem to use it forever. And I think Mazda is really adopting that kind of approach. So what you're seeing is that recently Mazda has just been going up the reliability charts, and I think that's really helping it out in this particular award. And the other component is owner satisfaction. Well, owner satisfaction is a little bit harder to quantify. It's a little bit harder to get our hands around, but I think I know why Mazda owners are so satisfied with their cars. As a satisfied Mazda owner myself, I can tell you that one of the great things about Mazda is the clarity of purpose and clarity of brand identity. Some journalists will complain that Mazda is losing its zoom reputation because it's going up market, but I think that right now it's very obvious what Mazda is doing, so if you like it, then you'll buy it, and if you don't, then you won't. And what they're trying to do, I think, is replicate the kind of success that they had with the Miata about 30 years ago, but in a different kind of way. About 30 years ago, Mazda introduced the Miata as a way to compete with British roadsters that were a ton of fun to drive, but were horrendously unreliable. The Miata came out and it was just this little lightweight, super fun car that was also really reliable, dependable, cheap to run, and the rest is history, right? I think Mazda's trying to apply that strategy to their entire lineup, and what they are seeing is that BMW of the early 2000s is sort of their current model for what they're trying to go for. What was BMW's market positioning about 20 years ago, which many people my age and many auto journalists will consider to be the golden age of BMW? Well, there were a couple of basic ingredients of BMW back then. One of those ingredients was that they built cars that were really good to drive. They were not necessarily the fastest cars on the road, but they felt amazing. And I'm talking about like the E39 5 Series, the E53 X5, which I'm driving right now. I'm talking the E38 7 Series, the legendary 7 Series that put everybody on notice. And those cars were just amazing to drive, primarily in the way they felt, not necessarily in speed. And BMW has kind of lost that in recent years as they've moved more and more towards spec sheet racing. As a premium brand, BMW feels a lot more pressure these days to deliver big numbers. Like, oh, look how fast the M cars are compared to AMGs and so on. So BMW has kind of vacated that spot in the automotive enthusiasts world, and Mazda's trying to fill that in. But there's another element where Mazda is trying to fit that mold of BMW of about 20 years ago, and that is the near luxury segment, right? So Mazda is not a luxury brand, but it is a half step above something like a Toyota or Honda. If you've sat in a Mazda 3, you will never think that, oh, this is a direct competitor to, say, a Corolla. It just feels way nicer. The design is far more attractive, the materials are better, and so on. And BMW was like that in the late 90s and early 2000s. BMW sort of occupied this space that was in between the mainstream brands, like, let's say, Volkswagen and something like Mercedes. It's not like decadent inside, but it's like pretty nice. It gets my heart racing a little bit when I look at it. And then combine that with really good driving dynamics and really good driving sensations. And that's, in my opinion, what really propelled BMW to the top of its game in the late 90s and early 2000s. Now, Mazda is throwing in a couple more things into the mix. They're throwing in reliability. And secondly, they're throwing in value. Mazda's occupying just a slightly lower spot in the market than BMW did back then. But the overall strategy, I think, is really solid. And if you want more evidence that Mazda is trying to occupy that niche, just look no further than Mazda's next generation flagship vehicles. The next Mazda 6 is expected to be rear-wheel drive with quite possibly an inline 6. If that doesn't scream BMW to you, then I don't know what does. So I think Mazda's doing an amazing job, and they've captured this particular segment of the market very clearly, and I think that's why owners are really happy with them. It remains to be seen what's going to happen when Mazda starts moving into new technologies. For example, the Skyactiv X engines, which are just starting to roll out. They're not here yet in North America. And another technology that Mazda is going to roll out that might throw a wrench into the whole reliability picture is the rotary engines that they're going to use in the MX-30 as a range extender. Rotary engines are notorious for being really unreliable. It might fare better as a range extender as opposed to the primary, the only thing that makes the car move. Maybe they can optimize it so it just runs at its most efficient RPM. It's like in this little hermetic environment where it just does its thing, and it's not subject to all the crazy varying demands that come about when you're driving a gas-powered car. In any case, I am so excited that Mazda came out on top this year, and that's just a recognition of a job well done, in my opinion. Thanks again for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel, especially now at this stage where my channel is a tiny little channel. Right now I have like 41 subscribers. It's a lot of fun to make these videos, and it's really encouraging when people like and subscribe, and so I thank you so much for doing that and for watching. You're one of the few people on this planet who even knows about this channel right now. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you next time.